Lovely. Thank you, Katarina. So with all those really important, drivers of change presented, and there were some like framework to think about how smell could be changed and how do we, just activate our body, but also our mind, imagination to think about what would 2050 smell like.
Good.
So
And
we will like everybody to, co-create a story. If we could just think about it with maybe five W's, like we already have a win, 2050. Who? Would it be you and your family? Would it be like your community with some animals that are very active in the neighborhood? So, and also what? So maybe what you're doing and how are you using the smell? Would it be, this communication tool? Would it be influenced by your ability to smell? How would that, smellscape be like in 2050?
you are
So
free. We're not so many in the session, right? So I think we can also speak freely in the session. You're free to do that or write in the chat, but you're definitely welcome to just share your thoughts and ID directly by turning your microphone on and share your thoughts and talks about the future. Or if you have any other comments that you want to do.
I'm thinking about one thing, and that is that perhaps in the future you could actually increase the volume of your ability to smell or decrease it. So I would at certain times be very, feel everything, maybe in nature, but when I'm in the city, I would kind of turn down the volume on my scent. Maybe that's a possible, plausible future.
I like that idea of turning it off and on. It's also like turning off and on like one of your senses. Also of like stimuli around you, right, to it. And go away from something and turn something off or augment it also, right, to it.
yeah, seems like it's as easy as just turning your volume up and down, but now with smell, you have total control. Really fun.
Sheets and predictions that you're making about the environment, for example, any other things. Yeah, and then they should be cross-checked by human knowledge as well, because that's very important. Because AI can.
Was that a sharing or was it just accidental? Maybe it's like, is anyone else who wants to share something to it? Don't be, yeah.
Maybe we could pass on to our audience. If you are here, like just feel free to unmute or you can just type some thoughts in the chat.
I'd like to say something. First of all, I really never actually thought about the past and the future this way. And it really has, since you started the session, I have now thought about 50 different ways to first of all, imagine the future in comparison to what I know of the past and present. And what it's just truly fascinating to even comprehend that smells are going to change. And the intellectual part of my thinking is like, oh, all those smells that have gone out of my life. But it just doesn't seem like, oh my gosh, by 2050, how much that will actually change.
It's amazing, right? When you start, like your mind starts growing like that one. And and I think it's also these like the lost and the longing, that these kind of things will change to it. That's also add this different perspective when you start thinking about it. that really is this kind of, yeah, it also makes you like also wanting to collect and cherish the things that you have around you to it. And again, also these kind of idea of like, what kind of, if I want to have that, growing tomatoes in the garden, like, is there anything I need to change now to keep that going to it also?
Yeah, so can I ask a question?
Yes.
So how do you address that with your students? Because I certainly can see some of my students saying, gosh, because my feeling is like, I never recognized how much those smells really were, even sounds, right? Any kind, right? So what is your suggestion to address students with it if they come with some, angst?
I think one of the things that we've been doing in this project is also trying to lift also like a positive future thinking into it and stories that are connected to a reality close to them to it. So in one of these projects that we worked on, we used like a small, it was actually like an unscented wunderbaum or like this, little tree that you have, but had no scent to it. So their task was to put a scent onto it of like and name it the scent of the future for them to carry with them to it. And while doing that, it was also like this with the intention to do it like also with a positive scent of the future to it, to give this positive story about them. And this was a project about mobility of the future and how young people look at it. And there were also, I think it's also, again, this like focus on like when you think about the future, that if you do that, you also have the ability to change the future because you can make changes for it. And that was something that we really wanted to lift in these small lectures that we had with the students, that it's really about, helping yourself, thinking about the future, not only helps you to be prepared about what's going on, but you can also start making choices for how you want your future to be. So it's a way of like a strengthening tool for you to go forward, right? And I think that was the most efficient, thing for us to do because there is a lot of anxiety, right, and angst and worry to it. Anna, do you want to add anything with that to it?
Maybe just an example. Like one of the students talked about, like, okay, so today I drive my e-moped car to school. But in the future, if my kid or something would drive to school, that person would have their breakfast in the car. So the car would be self-driving. It's an autonomous vehicle, of course, and it would smell of breakfast. So they were gonna have their breakfast in the car. So it was just interesting, like how they really got into detail about like both mobility, but how the scent connected kind of to that topic. So it was a driver and also a way of us to give them like what maybe us that works with future tools all the time, like as a design agency, but also to give the power to the students to develop their own, ideas with the same tools. So making it more accessible, the whole thing.
Yeah, I wanted to have like a really quick follow up of what Katarina and Nana said. So how sensory system is really prominent when you are deprived of its ability. So we often think, sort of like backward or in the opposite way when like you don't feel it anymore, when like one dominant part of your world that is so, subconscious is taken away from you immediately, by like sickness or just by all the different drivers has influenced like the possibility of it lingering on in the future. So there's a lot of like ways to influence how my fellows and also people in different ages perceive like smell. And one example is there was one experiment I did with some participants. So if you think about backward design or backcasting, how would you, artificially mix an odor? How would you create an odor that is so natural now and in the past? Like, do you still have that, or you have to, very creatively like mix it as a formula to have people perceive it at the same way? So with that little experiment, people started to think, okay, so can we really capture the essence of the smell? Or can we capture, 90% of it, or only maybe 1/3 of it, or just nothing of that smell we can naturally perceive with our nose? So I feel like this interesting, like to the degree of perceiving or perception and backward thinking of what if we don't have that like sense, like what if we can only artificially make it, help people to immediately get into that scenario. This is totally off, but which is like you can't imagine right now because it's just permeating our environment every day. So just want to quickly share that, like
But that's very
sense of
interesting. Yeah. Can you like bottle the now? That's like, because sometimes you have a moment, right? And it's the smell, it's the food, it's the company. You just want to bottle it in a way.
I know.
Yeah.
I
The
definitely feel with that.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you
The kids
have
were
some of the memories, moments like that?
I think some perfumes that has been
Yes.
here for ages, right? They have that. It smells of grandma, or
Yeah.
it's just you can actually, it's bottled love.
If I
more or less.
say this perfume, everybody will know my age, but there was this perfume that came out when I was around 13, 14, Cool Water by David Duff. And it was everybody had
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
when I have it now, I can smell my teenage years too. I travel back in time and I can
Oh,
see everything around me.
I love it. It's like a deja vu, but
I don't know if I
with
love it
physical
because
tools.
being a teenager is not easy all the time, right? Too. It's there. It's there to it, right? It's there. And I also like this that you're saying here with that, how it supports system thinking, because you start adding it into a larger perspective and you add more layers into where we're going. And that was really also what we wanted to do when we started to work with this, to it, that it's adding this other layer and also that it can ease up some of the thinking that you do to it, because you don't go specifically into all these like political signals or social signals or economic signals going, and you're going into something else to think about this. So I think it's and also how engaging it can become to be, right? And now we're doing this session as an online session, but it's a beautiful thing and a beautiful way to work with it when you sit with a group of people and you talk about this, and also as you have this sense sharing that you can do when you have these examples of it in a room together and use this like smell things together and see where this imagination goes to it, and adding one more sense to the imagination to think about the future. Yes, Randy?
Yeah, so the next question I have is, when you're doing your sessions, how does collaboration and perception, different perspectives come into play, specifically since everybody has a different sense of smell that they love or hate, they live on those edges?
I think that's I mean it's an interesting question that you mentioned. I think it was, again, because it was like in this kind of group discussion part, where people had already gone through a little bit of this, like thinking sessions. They had done this, when does the future start together and things. So they already had done some sharing. And I think they were quite, also that we, as having these examples of like that you could smell things, that I think this is good, oh, this is bad, right to it, I don't like this, that already there you could have a kind of a setting out that it's okay to have different perception of the scent to it. But it was also again this like asking the why. Why don't you like this, right to it? Why don't you do this? As a way to start talking about it. And that's again like this is also when we work with future thinking and we work with design fiction or speculative design, the provocation is a very good tool also to work. And that's the same as scent can also become a very strong provocation to it.
Yeah, a trigger to dialogue, really. That's what it is. Yeah.
Good. So now we have come a little bit off topic from the workshop, but does anyone here you want to share like what do you think 2050 will smell like to it?
Oh, I love how Josh saying why is a great question. Stay for the next session to do a lot of more why asking.
Exactly right.
It's very crucial.
Good. Because I think the why is again like this is the reason why you think it will smell. Does anybody want to share a story about like what you think this future will smell like to it? Anna, do you want to share a story to it?
I can share something. Well, I also have kids, so I hope it smells of diapers right now in my house, and hopefully in 25 years it will do that again. But I'm a grandma. That's it sounds weird, but I wish for that to happen in the future.
I'll
Is that
go.
Yeah, go.
Maybe I'm aspirational. I'm typically super optimistic. So I'm really hoping that the future is more. I understand technology will evolve to a point where it doesn't feel like present. But what I really hope for is that 2050 is much simpler in its smell. And I don't know how to describe simpler, but if I think about what 2050 will be at, like, I do believe that people will go down to more root level things because there will be such technological advances that maybe that will be the balancing theme. I don't know.
But what you're saying is like, if you describe it scent-wise, it's a natural scent with less complexity than today has to it. And this is also a fun way to describe the future as you describe the scent to do it, to add that part.
Thank you. Wonderful summary. That's exactly that. I could have not said it better. Thank you.
And I like that how you say that we can like wish for that to it, because I think when we say that also to it, like a natural scent with less complexity, we can starting imagining also what that would be right to it. So this again is like this tool, and I saw her posting about the power of curiosity to shape the future, and curiosity and this imagination is so much key to it, and that's also why we wanted to introduce the scent, into this future sessions that we did with these high school kids, because we wanted something more out of it. We wanted something that really triggered their imagination and made them think about it in a different way to it.
And quickly to add on that, like, and as soon as we started imagination, we started to, bring that into like our daily life. We started to, collect different elements that is really related to that imagination. So our mind is directed toward that after that provocation. I think that sort of, action there is crucial with imagination as the first step.
Okay. Yeah.
And I saw Christina saying that she feels amazed with the smell approach and the much it stimulates our imagination to the future. I really echo with that.
Yeah. To and great to see that feedback. And I think that's also what we noticed when we did this to it. We also did this actually. We had also the chance to present this project and the synth part at a bigger exhibition, a bigger to it, where we also met a lot of educators and researchers into it, and it also triggered discussion with people. Then, even that was in the presentation booth style to it, that people started to think about these things. What their future would smell like when you had a direct conversation with them. In a really quick and active way right to it. So again, what we lack here, we don't have in 2025 is that we still don't have a smell zoom, right, to it, scent zoom going on to it. But I think it could be possible if looking at this, like if you would do an online session to it, to also send out this kind of small like scent pack or prep pack to it. With scents, like pre-workshop wise, to work with, that you could also has this kind of tool to make it work also as very much as an online session right to it. If you would do bigger global sessions to around it.
Awesome. I saw Christina. Did you unmute? Do you want to share with us something?
Yes. Yes, I'm just trying to go back to.
I think you were muted again.
Okay, here I am. I'm absolutely amazed with everything that I'm listening. I work with creativity since I was 9 years old. And nowadays I am working since last year in a TV series. We are creating and developing a TV series. I work with movies, and the name of this series is still in the development phases, is Heritage. And it's about a group of teens that come from 2050. And they come to very beautiful biomas. I live in Brazil. We have 6 impressive biomas. Now we talk a lot about Amazon, but the forest, but we have many other impressive biomas here. And they go in group of 2 to each biome. And it's a mix of documentary and dramaturgy. And I'm very silent listening and also learning from this wonderful approach, because we are studying many possibilities of what young people from 2050 will feel when they come to 2025 to now. They are coming to 2025 or 2026. What are they feeling? And what is their experience? And what are they finding here that could be could have been stimulated and is not stimulated? And what could have been done that would guarantee a wonderful 2050? So I'm just amazed, and I am not really expressing during. I have been not expressing anything during this beautiful uh, uh, class that we are having, because it's it's evoking and just stimulating so many new thoughts in my mind that I'm not really ready to express them right now. But I'm sure that what you are doing is absolutely important. And I want to congratulate you and thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina.
Thank you.
Wonderful words to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And
Yeah.
I see Rosa Alegria, another impressive teacher of the future. I has just seen her participation in the chat. And Rosa, for sure, you will have to participate in the development of heritage.
I'm opening my camera especially to say hello to you. Very, very happy to see you here, Christina. You are so precious. You're so, so engaged with the future. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
you.
Yeah, it's very lovely to have the sharing session, and it's wonderful that we can do it in this format to it. It would be even nicer to meet a live session into it, but also that we can mix across the global, hold this like this. It's amazing. And I hope you enjoyed it. And you have the information is more about a section right to it, so you can find more information and contact us if you would like to know more about it. But highly recommend to start using and just playing with senses and scents and what the future will smell like when you teach the future to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like amazing how like you've been doing a lot with the young generation, but through a very lovely medium of documentary. I think I'd be very curious about how will that be going and how that connects to smell. Like there's already a lot of like thoughts, idea blurbing from my mind with all those beautiful biomasses you're talking about. So I think it's a great jumpstart of everything there. So I
Yes.
really appreciate that.
Yes, let's try to connect